very good evening, all our friends right here tuning in live to the Geylang Serai Virtual Community Club. How are you feeling today at this beautiful Sunday? So I believe that most of our friends are actually packing and also getting a lot of activities going on and all that, because today itself is actually March, the last day of the Sunday itself, and next week almost we are marching towards July already. So if you have not made your personal plans in terms of quarter three and all that, I would say that for this weekend itself, while we are still having a little of time before end of Sunday itself, do a recap about your quarter one and quarter two, which is the first half of 22-1, and kickstart your planning for 22-1's second and third quarter itself, because we know that now we are marching towards the so-called second half of 22-1 already. So with that, for today itself, we are right here back again to this thing called the Market Outlook. I would like to share with you about some of the market trends and also some of the things that is happening right here in Singapore and globally as well. So right now, let's pan the screen to the slide itself. So for the market outlook, as mentioned, that right here we do have a lot of things I would like to share and showcase to all our friends. And in fact, last week itself, right, I do have friends who are saying that, hey, we would like to know about what is going to happen on the next quarter and stuff, right? Because a lot of people right here during this COVID period are thinking how we can actually plan for our year, and of course to look into right all the way to 2022. So with that, if you do have any questions or anything that you would like us to cover, please feel free to interact with us through the Facebook chat as well, because we do look into every single item that you pen down right over there. And right here, we would like to care for you and to give you the information and the news that you would like to hear as well. So if you recall on Tuesday itself, right, I was saying that today we're going to have giant. So if you recall about this word, right, yes, indeed, someone that is actually giant in heart, where he actually contributed a lot back to the society, and at the same time would like to share with us something to do with a life philosophy right here for today. So that's none other than Dr. Patrick Liew itself. He's actually the Executive Chairman of GAX Global and the founder of Success Resource, okay, which is one of the very big companies and the world's biggest company that's organizing all sorts of very big events, mega events all over the world. And some of his past credentials include the former CEO of HSR Global and listed 3 companies on SGX, AXS, and of course New York Stock Exchange itself. And he's also multiple award recipient like the Global Leader, Asia Pacific Entrepreneurship Award, and also the Entrepreneur of the Year for social contribution. And right now, let's welcome our giant, Dr. Patrick Liew.
Thank you very much for giving me the honor to be here. I feel really very humbled. I want to say that it is very clear in my mind that I'm here this evening as a student. I'm a learner like all of you out there. So thank you for giving me a chance to share what little I know about business.
We all are on the lifelong learning movement, right?
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah. So indeed for today itself, right, I understand that you would like to share with us about your story and at the same time how you are contributing back to the society by this topic called the starting, building and growing a profitable business to achieve greater good.
That's right. This evening I am bringing to all of you 2 real life stories.
Yeah.
In fact, 2 heart-wrenching stories
Yeah.
of how I was brought to the peak of life, and now I had a free fall all the way to almost the pits of hell. But when you listen to this story, I'll make it interesting for everybody, because behind the story, there's a story. And behind the story, there's another story. And then hopefully when you listen long and hard enough, you realize perhaps this story is also about you.
Yeah, I believe that everyone in your life and your journey itself, right, definitely there will be some time that you kind of fall. And of course, it's always about how we are picking ourselves up to do a greater good for the world and the society, okay?
Absolutely.
Let's go, Dr. Patrick Liew. Yeah.
That's right. So I want to start by sharing with everybody, I don't know about you, I was born in a very, very poor family. I grew up among the poorest of the poor. Can you imagine when I was growing up, I had no new books, no new toys, no new clothing. I don't even have a bed until I was 21 years old. For the first 21 years of my life, I get to sleep underneath my grandmother's bed. So if you look at my face, you'll find it's a bit flat because of oversleeping underneath the bed. As you can see from a picture there, we stay in a kampong. Most of the houses were all wooden houses. And so at a very, very young age, when I finished my study, I always wanted to be a social worker.
Actually, you don't look like a social worker here. You look like a Taiwanese singer, no? For what I see.
Thank you for being very, very kind to me. My friends will say, with a face like this, it's very hard to survive.
Really? Actually, you look a little bit like Zhang Yusheng. You know, there's this Taiwanese composer that's very
Really?
famous.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
Yeah, I will sing Ta Hai, but I won't reach the level that he can reach.
I think when people hear the music, they will 大哭 or 大笑.
I know. If you want everybody to leave this Facebook Live, I will start singing and then you'll find that everybody will leave very, very, very quickly.
Okay, we will invite you again to sing in the next session, but not today. We'd like to continue to hear the story of you.
To share my little gift of how I can chase people away, right? So at a very young age, I always wanted to be a social worker. Half of me was running my own business at Sungai Road. It was known as the flea market, the biggest flea market. Half of me always wanted to be a social worker. Why? Because I want to help more poor people like myself. I want to help more poor family like my family. And so I actually applied to be an intern, to go to Hong Kong and learn from a charity organization. And this charity organization rented a small little office space at the old YMCA building near Nathan Road. So every day I would learn how to be a charity worker. Then in the evening I would clean one of the tabletop. I would sleep on the tabletop because my father couldn't afford to put me up in the dormitory. And then every morning I would climb a hill opposite the old YMCA building.
And this is in Kowloon, right? Because I know that Nathan Road is actually at Kowloon of Hong Kong itself.
That's right. Of course, it doesn't look the way it looks right now. Everything has changed, right?
And so, there's a lot of foreign workers there right now in Nathan Road.
So at the top of the hill, I will pray, I will plan, I'll prepare myself to be a good charity worker. Oh, when I came back, all my friends say, Patrick, how can you be a good social worker? You have no real life experience. You need to earn your stripes and scars. You must go through some pain and sorrow. Then you qualify to go out there and help all these poor people. So off I went, but I had a very, very good run. I started my life as an office boy. Do you know what's an office boy?
Office boy is known as a clerk. Nowadays it's called admin executive.
Actually, it's even lower than a clerk. There's no such thing as office boy.
As in a runner?
He's like a runner. He's like a, in those days we say like a football, you know. So you get kicked around to do everything that people want to do. Basically, you go and tapao food, you go clean tabletop, whatever they want to do. Sometimes you get to clean the toilet. So I was very, very blessed. I was promoted every year of my life until I became a CEO of a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company. And then one day, I started my own business, and that's why I think most of you are here, because some of you may be seriously considering to start your own business part-time or full-time. And again, I was very, very blessed because most people have never listed one company in their lifetime. I've helped to list more than 3 companies in 3 different industries on 3 different stock exchanges in 3 different countries. New York Stock Exchange, Australia Security Exchange, and Singapore Exchange. And then along the way, my team and I, we started 6 different charities. And so I'm very, very grateful and thankful that I was able to give back to society. We started a charity that trained about 20,000 students every year on what we call the 21st century skills. You and I, when we go out to the adult world, we realize there are many skills that you and I need to learn and apply, but we never quite learn them in school.
I agree, because nowadays a lot of things, even people are saying that and debating that, do we even need to go to degree for university and all that? Because a lot of us don't apply what we learn.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's not a question of whether you should or should not go, but it's a question of whether you learn the right thing and you can apply and take them into action. So nobody taught us how to be a great leader, how to be creative, innovative, adaptable. These are all the important 21st century skills. So we are glad that we can train 20,000 students every year. In fact, even during the last year, at the worst of the pandemic, we were still training about 13,500 students. And then we started a charity to reach out to the elderly and needy families. And then at 37 Veerasamy Road, we started arguably the only charity that I know of that provide a holistic service to all our migrant workers.
That's amazing.
We have 258,400 migrant workers. So we provide health check, dental check, We write letters for them, we counsel them, we befriend them. On their off day, we bring them around Singapore, and then we run classes, as you can see in this
IT
picture.
courses, yeah?
IT classes,
Yeah.
teach them IT, teach them English classes, business classes, investment classes, in the hope that one day when they finish their journey with us, when they go back to your own country, they're in a much better position to become successful, basically. And so around 2013, I was very, very blessed because a very, very rich man offered to buy over my public listed company. And around that time, I was invited to speak in a CEO conference in Hong Kong. So off I went to Hong Kong, I checked in the hotel. When I was in the hotel room, I drew the curtain. And after I drew the curtain, I saw a hill opposite the window.
What hill is that?
And the hill looks very, very familiar. I had goosebumps all over my body.
Okay.
So I quickly called the receptionist. I said, what was this hotel known as before it became a hotel? And then the receptionist told me, 以前呢，呢度呢就叫做 OYMCA Building.
Oh my god, 真係撞邪啊！
係咯
Cantonese 時講撞
That's
邪。So anyway, for friends who doesn't really understand Cantonese, what just now we mentioned is actually 以前呢度係YMCA building，即係in the past here was the YMCA building, and I say 撞邪 means it's like deja vu.
Because it's like I started my working life.
Which is this, right?
That's right. I started my life. I started my life at the OYMCA
As an
building.
intern, right? Back
Correct.
then?
And then when I thought I've come to the end of my entrepreneur
cycle
journey,
entrepreneur, yeah.
I went back to the hotel beside this new YMCA building. Went back to exactly the same spot.
It seems like life is like a circle, yeah?
That's right. That's right.
Where you started and
Yeah.
you just go one round.
I know it sounds strange
and
to you.
come back again.
I feel like somebody up there has been watching me, writing a script for me.
Yeah.
And so that evening, I went on my knees and I cried. I cried like I've never cried before because all my life, I wanted to be a charity worker. I wanted to be a social worker. But I never quite found the opening to return to become a charity worker. And then when I thought I've come to the end of my entrepreneurial journey, I went back to exactly the same spots. And you know what I realized?
What do you realize then?
I realized as an entrepreneur, I've always been somewhat of a social worker. And let me quickly explain to you. If I had been a professional social worker, I probably could have touched one person's life at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time. But when I became an entrepreneur, I could literally touch thousands of people's lives all over the world. And so that evening, in the hotel room, I found a new calling. I found a new purpose for my life. I crafted a new personal mission. Would you like to know my personal mission?
Let me guess first. Is it to be a social worker or to
No.
start charity?
No. I tell myself for as long as I live, for as long as somebody up there allow me to live, I will do everything I can to coach people, mentor them, train them, advise them, guide them, so that they can become successful entrepreneur and investor. Why? Because when they become successful entrepreneur and investor, they've got so much more latitude and other resources to give back to society. They can do whatever they want to do, enjoy whatever they want to enjoy, and achieve whatever they want to achieve. They can give the best of life to themselves and to their loved ones. But more importantly, they can do so much more for society. They can do so much more for the poor, the needy, and the disadvantaged. They can make this world a better place. And that's why I'm so excited to be here this evening, because I want people out there to know this, that when you run a business, you may think that I want to make money, I want to have more customers, I want to have a bigger share of the pie. But when you come to a much higher level, you realize there's a much, much higher calling. There's a much, much more worthier cause that you can serve as an entrepreneur. And that's why the topic today I want to propose to all of you is to share how in running a business, you can turn the world upside down or to turn the world
Around.
right side up.
Actually, that is one question I wanted to ask you. Is that the reason how you started Success Resource? Because you wanted to be like a resource center for successful people?
Absolutely. So when I first started, when I look back again in my life, I say, when I started Success Resources, it was not meant to make a lot of money, to have a lot of customers, to make it arguably the biggest seminar organizer in the world. I started Success Resources because in my small little kacang putih mind, I tell myself, how can I bless my country? How can I improve society? So I have a small little dream. Can I share you my small little dream?
Sure.
I tell myself, what if I can invite world-class gurus? What if I can invite domain knowledge expertise? What if I can invite specialists in different expertise? And then they come and transfer their technology, transfer their skill set, transfer their expertise. And when people become more productive, they perform better, then they improve the family's life, they improve the community, then they strengthen society.
True
And
enough.
so at that point in time, all we dream about is to bring in world-class speaker to be a blessing to our people.
I know that there are like Robert Kiyosaki and in some of your seminars.
That's right. We have
and
brought
talks,
in,
right?
I would say in the last 30 years, some of the best-known speakers and trainers and experts. We've brought a lot of them to this part of the world. We have brought Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton. Can you imagine the first time he ever been to Singapore? He came because we invited him. He has never been to Singapore. And he came because we invited him. We have brought in a few presidents, a few prime ministers. We have brought in some of the richest, wealthiest, most successful people, some of the top gurus, Anthony Robbins, Robbie Kiyosaki. We have brought them literally in this part of the world. And today we bring them all over the world. At the point in time, our small little dream grew and grew and grew. And suddenly we realized we have become a blessing not only to our people, we have become an asset not only to Asia, but we have turned the whole business into a movement, to value add to people all over the world.
Yeah, that's really the lifelong learning motive and movement
Exactly.
for the world, yeah?
Exactly. So,
So
without realizing it, as young little boys, we started this small little dream, and then we realized we are plugged into what you say, one of the most important things in the 21st century that we all must continue to learn. The battle cry is learn or die. When I say die, I'm not talking about physical death. I'm talking about something more scary than physical death. If you're not learning, growing, and improving, then life is meaningless. The day when you stop learning, like they say, you immediately become uneducated. So I'm glad we are plugged into this lifelong learning movement here.
Amazing. So I think that the next thing you would like to share here is actually about the failure and the biggest lesson that you learn in life, right? I'm pretty sure that life is not always good in a way. So tell me, I'm definitely sure that you got some darkest moment, right? Everyone has their own darkest moment.
I thought it would be good if, the most speakers will come and talk about their glorious past, the amazing achievement. I thought I want to be very, very brutally honest with everybody out there. When you become an entrepreneur, expect to have failure. In fact, I always say this. If you want to be successful, you must learn how to fail successfully all the way until you achieve success. And so I want to share with you a second life story that I have. And this happened in 2003. Were you alive then?
Of course I was alive. I'm not that young though.
Because with your mask on, you look like an 18-year-old to me.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me test you. What happened in 2003? There was a crisis in 2003. Do you remember?
SARS.
That's right. That was the first.
I was around.
Yeah. Your grandmother must have told you the story,
No,
right?
I know about that.
So 2003 was the first of the coronavirus outbreak. And of course, COVID-19 is a subset or a variant or evolution of the SARS coronavirus. And at that point in time, I remember very, very clearly, on the 14th of March, the Minister of Health made an announcement. They said there's something in the air. They could not determine what it is. Many people were falling ill. And in fact, many people died, including the son of one of my friends, a very famous doctor called Dr. Alexander Chow. So when Singaporeans heard this, and not just Singaporeans, all over the region, they all masked up, they all stay at home. they avoided public place, and the economy took a nosedive. The whole property market crashed.
Agree.
At that point in time, I went through the worst crisis in my life. I felt that somebody had pushed me into a deep, dark, and bottomless, scary pit. And it was a free fall. I literally have gone to the pits of hell to come back to share this story with everybody.
I'm pretty sure because your main business, HSR, is in property,
That's right.
So that is actually definitely
That's
one
right.
of the biggest hit. It's similar like right now during COVID-19, right? Events industry is the biggest hit because
That's right.
everyone just got to stop. Tourism got to stop. Everything is like really dead.
But that was even worse than today, really, because today we know what we are dealing with. We have many ways to overcome the challenges.
Yeah.
We have technology, digital tools, but at that
Yes,
point in time, we don't have.
Yeah.
Nobody go to show flats, nobody go and look at properties, nobody's interested to talk about investments. Everybody were scared.
And you have your own building, you have a lot of overhead, few
I have
thousand
a huge
staff.
office right in
Yeah.
the heart of the central business district. And I'll tell you this, every day when I opened the door, I was losing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Can imagine.
And at one
that,
point in time, I calculated my personal liability. And you won't believe it, at that point in time, I calculated I was losing money to the tune of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. Can I borrow your toes?
Sure.
Yeah, and your finger at the same time. You know, I think between your two hands and my two toes,
Not
our
enough.
two hands and two legs, I've lost more millions than the toes and the fingers, basically.
So you don't have enough for 20
I
million.
don't have enough to count. Yeah.
And back then in 2003, 20 million is a lot of money.
It was a lot more than $20 million. By the time I tabulate all my guarantees, all my risks, all my exposure, I was down by so much money. I don't know how I can recover. I don't know whether if some of you out there have problem, but I tell you this, every night when I sleep crying like a baby. And then one night I discovered I have no more tears. If you can cry, you feel relieved because this is one of the physiological ways that we relieve our system.
Yep.
But when you cannot cry, it's like your whole system was crushed. I was going through what the Chinese call a half-death. Sometimes when people are nasty, they don't curse you to death. Because death is not even the worst curse. They curse you to half-death. Or Chinese will say, 求生不得,求死不如. You want to live, you cannot live.
Yeah.
And death is not an option.
Yep.
And I remember every night I would sleep curled up like a little baby. I felt like my life has virtually come to an end. And one day I feel like I've been painted to a corner. Chinese say, 走投无路. Whichever way I turned, I felt like the walls were crashing down on me. And then one night, I did something that you won't believe. I don't think anybody will ever believe.
Commit suicide.
I tell you something, committing suicide is still not so bad. But I'm scared of pain. So I'm thinking, what is a more comfortable, pleasurable way? But I remember one evening, is it okay if I stand up and,
Sure, why not?
Maybe,
Can we have the full screen, please?
My dream.
And the full screen itself.
Yeah,
without the
my
slide,
dream
please.
is to be an actor. So I hope there's some director out there, there's some movie producer out there, because I'm going to show you what I did. Because one evening, when I couldn't find any more solution, I remember the evening in my bedroom, I went on my knees.
Oh my God.
And for the first time in my life, I looked up to whoever was out there. And I remember I screamed from the bottom of my heart, help me! Please! Help me! I can't take it anymore! Please help me!
That is really something that everyone... You know what happened, Dr. Patrick? Actually, right, back in the days that...
I think I better stand up so now that you stand up.
No, yeah, I was
I belong to
standing up.
old school, yeah.
Sure.
The rest of you don't have to stand up. I mean, you can sit comfortably.
Yeah, you can see those people in the screen because we are a
yeah.
little bit dramatic
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Actually, back in 2015, I almost also encountered this thing called the half-dead situation.
Oh, really?
But I didn't, kneel down or whichever. What I did was I actually look at the wall, look at the sky, look at everywhere else, and I keep asking the world why things are really happening like that to me. That was my way of doing things. But you really kneel down.
So you are what we call a 知音人. You understand the tune, the melody in my life, and it was a really, really sad movie. Can I sit down now?
Of course we can sit down. Actually, right, I think everyone in the screen itself do agree with us, especially for entrepreneurs. No one ever had a chance that is evergreen. It's always up, down, up, down, up,
right.
down. And a lot of us actually even go through things like court cases, suing here and there,
All
and all
kinds
that.
of issues.
All kinds of issues because in this whole world, things
Can
are
I
moving.
redo your gesture again?
Sure.
I want the people out there not to be frightened of entrepreneurship. When you go on a roller coaster ride, it's not going flat like this. I think every time when you go down, is the best learning lesson. Is the greatest transformational moment.
Yeah.
And if you learn from the lesson that the University of Life teach you, you go to another peak. And if you fall again, you go to a higher peak. So it is more like going on a roller coaster ride on the upward trend line, upward path. And that's what life should be. That we are constantly evolving, constantly adapting, constantly changing. It doesn't matter whether you're entrepreneur or not entrepreneur. Don't be afraid of challenges. Don't be afraid of failures. Be more afraid that you're not learning, you're not improving. And if you continue to learn and improve, you'll reach the next peak, the next highest level of your life, basically.
I actually agree that because I started my business at a very young age. I started at 21 years old.
Wow.
And that was the time that a lot of people say that you're nuts, you're crazy, why are you doing this? You have a good job, high pay and all that. Why do you want to go out to become a busker? My first business ever in my whole career, I was standing at the street becoming like a statue.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And from there went into things like, entertainment, showbiz, singer, dancer and all. But that is how really give me a lot of creative ideas in running bigger things and of course up and down along the way and all the way until learning how to do M&As, buy and selling companies and stuff. So I think life really will always push us all the way up as long as we are willing to do, willing to learn and willing to try.
What you say just reminded me of something I posted 2 days ago in my Facebook.
Yeah.
I said entrepreneurs are crazy people. But if I want to be very straightforward, to the people out there, they think we are crazy.
Yeah.
But for us who are entrepreneurs, we look at people out there and we say, you are crazy. Why don't you become more curious, more adventurous? Why not become pioneers? Why not go and experiment? Why not try and see whether you can reach another higher level? If greatness is your destiny, you will never understand greatness until you stretch yourself. And you'll never know how much you can stretch yourself until you truly go out there and stretch yourself.
Yeah, and actually when we talk about entrepreneurship, it doesn't really mean that you must come out to do your own business. A lot of the time, you can be an entrepreneur even in the MNC itself.
Correct.
Because as a leader, as a top management, you are there to supposed to push new
Absolutely.
heights.
Absolutely. Which is, you're jumping my gun because I'm going to share why.
Okay,
No,
give
it's
the
okay.
airtime
This is our topic. I want you out there that it does not mean that you have to start your own business, run your own business, then you're an entrepreneur. My definition of entrepreneur is somebody who goes out there and solve problem and offer solution. And there are a lot of problems out there. And a lot of these problems are waiting for somebody to go out there and resolve them. And there are many solutions that can make the world a much better place. It doesn't matter whether it's your own company, your own organization, your own community. There's always a better solution. And if you're willing to solve problem, offer solution, and use the least amount of resources or even zero resources, then you are an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur in the public sector, in the government. You can be an entrepreneur in the private sector, in whatever business and company you're in. You can also be an entrepreneur in the people sector, whether you're in a grassroots organization, you're in a social services organization, or whether you're in a charity organization, or you're in whatever worthwhile cause, you can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, talking about social service and community, I recall that you currently is still a patron for the People's Association, right? And used to be a CCC chairman. That's like the top of the top for the entire CCC. Share with us the journey for community work then.
You know, if I have never been an entrepreneur, I would not have the latitude to give myself to serve the community.
Yeah.
And I would dare to say that I've done almost every possible role and discharged every possible responsibility in the grassroots organization. I remember I started in the grassroots as a volunteer arranging chairs. So I was a chairman from day number one.
Chairman.
A chairman from day number one. And I was able to do many things. And eventually I became a CCC chairman. And eventually I was able to be involved with some national projects. And and all this because, thank God, I chose the path of entrepreneurship. But let me continue my story
Sure.
before we go on. And
We should go back to the slide, right?
yeah, if not, then we will ask you to come back for part 2 of Patrick Liew's presentation.
All
I'm old, but
right.
not that old yet.
Okay, we want to hear about the failure, your failure. Yeah.
So that night, you know, when I was screaming from the bottom of my lungs, I suddenly felt like somebody up there was talking to me. I thought I've gone crazy, I've gone cuckoo. But somehow I heard 2 simple words. And whichever corner I turned to, I kept seeing the 2 simple words. And the 2 simple words were touch lives. Touch lives. When you meet another human, treat the human as a human. Bring out the best from them. Help them to live a meaningful, exciting, and fulfilling life. You know, when I heard that, I almost burst out laughing. Treat human as human. Of course, we treat human as human. If you don't treat human as human, what do you treat human as? But when I really reflect back on my short little journey, I realized we never quite treat human as human. For us, the human is a digit, is a denominator, is part and parcel of an operational system, is part of the business plan. We even have a department in almost every major organization called Human what department?
Resource.
Human Resources Department. We actually reduce a human to become just a resource. Isn't it very, very sad?
Yeah, it's like making use, right? Okay, I use you for this, I use
That's
you
right.
for that.
That's right. You're a resource, you're a tool, you're utility basically. And interesting enough, in that year, Gallup International, a very internationally renowned research agency, did a survey among Singaporeans. They wanted to know how happy our workforce was. So between 100% happy, all the way sliding down to 0% unhappy. Where do you think most Singaporeans fall under?
Below
0. 100% happy, 0% unhappy. Okay, why don't we do this? Those of you who are watching, wherever you are, can you type in the chat box, in the comment section, where do you think Singaporeans are? Are they 100% happy? 90% happy? 80, 70, 60, 50, sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy? 40% mostly unhappy? All the way to 0%. Guess where most Singaporeans fall under?
Okay, we have someone posting and say that 0%.
I think when I ask this question, most people will say at most 60-70% happy. Some people say 50-50, depending on which company you work in. A lot of people say most people are not very happy, so below 50%, maybe 40%, 30%. But I think you'll be shocked to realize that between 100% happy to 0% unhappy, most people actually fall below the unhappiness level. And that was when I discovered a new word.
Someone say 40% and someone says 60%.
Okay.
We have Chew mentioned 40%, Dave mentioned 60%, and Vanessa mentioned 0%.
0%. Please don't tell the world which company. I hope your boss is not watching this.
All right. Yeah.
I hope nobody in the grassroots
Yeah.
organization who are employee of People Association is saying 0%, okay? Because this is a show sponsored by by the grassroots organization. I hope the CED is not watching this show at this point in time. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is personal choice and all that. But actually, I feel that it's not about happy or not happy. A lot of the time, people are just, there's a lot of conflict, especially in a bigger organization. A lot of times, there's a lot of politics, this and that, protocol to follow. So it's not exactly because of the company. Sometimes it can be between the bosses, the superior, and the staff, or maybe
right.
colleagues and staff.
I tell you to me what's one of the root causes, and that's my point also. I think the reason why a lot of people are not happy is because they are treated as a resource. Let me ask you this question. How do you feel if you go to work, whatever organization, and your bosses just treat you as a tool, as a utility, as a resource?
We have Seth mentioned 50%, Gary mentioned 10%. So it seems like everyone is between 0 to 60%.
I hope the Minister of Manpower is watching this. You know, the
part of
survey,
Southeast CDC.
the survey actually shows that most people are below 0%. A lot of people are disengaged. In fact, some people are actively disengaged. I cannot use a better way to describe the word disengaged except to use a Hokkien word. And the Hokkien word is called bo chap. I mean, every morning, many workers wake up, they unzip their brain, they take out their brain, they put it in the refrigerator. When the boss say turn left, they turn left. When the boss say turn right, they turn right. They are not engaged in their work. Don't even talk about being happy at all. And so when I heard that, I look up to whoever up there. I say, okay, from henceforth, I will treat every human as a human. I will help them to maximize their potential, bring out the best from them, help them to live a meaningful, exciting, and fulfilling life. And when I said that, I felt like somebody up there was telling me that's only part one. I said, part one only? How many parts are there? I hope this is not like one of these Taiwanese serial movie. I don't know whether you have heard of this Taiwanese.
Right?
Correct.
I don't watch it, but I know a lot of people who are like following
I
it.
remember, in grassroots organization, there was a period at about 7:30, all our uncle and auntie will rush, and you say, Uncle, auntie, 你去哪里? Where are you going to? Say, 回家, go home. I say, go home for what? 回家做爱咯. 回家做爱. No, 回家去看这出戏叫爱. Go back home and watch this serial movie called 爱. 897 chapters, and he has still not ended at that point in time. And so I look up to whoever up there and says, what is it? Part 2. And then he told me something that frightens me to the core. I'm so scared to tell you what he told me. In fact, I'm so frightened, even until right now, to tell you what he told me to do in part 2. Would you like to know what he told me to do in part 2? He said, when you go to work tomorrow, to every human you meet, tell them 3 very simple words. And the 3 simple words were,
I love you.
I love you. Now, you see, for a lady like you to say, I love you is very easy, right? You are all wired to do it. Now, I don't know about you, for men to say, I love you, we have to, 运用our qi gong, Okay? And the worst thing is I'm a man. I don't know how many of you can tell I'm a man.
I start to feel that you're a man.
Okay. So for me to say I love you is very, very, very challenging. I remember, looking up, I said, I don't want to talk to you, any more extension, any more choices. Do I have an option, basically? And it's not that I did not try. I remember the next day I went to work. I turned around to the first of my colleague. I say, you're very important. I want to bring out the best from you, help you to live a meaningful, exciting, and fulfilling life. And you know why, right? Because I couldn't articulate the words. And then my colleague will say, boss, don't know what you're saying. Can you please speak slowly? And even at the second round, I say, because And finally, I remember the first guy, I muster all my courage. I say, I want you to be the best you can be. I want you to live a meaningful, exciting, and fulfilling journey, especially during this phase of your journey with us. And finally, I turn around to him, I say, I love you. I wish they've given me your kind of reaction. I remember the first time I said it, everybody looked at me like,
Boss, you okay or not?
yeah. Are you sure you've taken your medicine? They didn't give me a standing ovation. They gave me a staring ovation. And not only I could tell them I love you, at a point in time I remember I have to write a love letter. I say, I don't want you to just hear me say I love you, because to me love is not just a word. Love is an action. It's not a noun, it's a verb.
Yeah.
So I wrote a letter every week to them to tell them not only I will tell you I love you, I want to demonstrate to you what love is all about. When you feel the care and concern. So for example, I turn half of my office into a lifestyle office. I tell them, our office will become your second home. Our organization will become your extended family. So I had nice sofa seats, nice karaoke, nice drinks, billiard, Olympic-sized billiard table, and make them really enjoy their work, basically. Now, at that point in time, without realizing, something strange happened in the air when I put love back into our business model, when I injected love into our organizational operating system. And that's why in the National University of Singapore, they have a case study, because we created what's called a love-based management system, which to me should be a commonsensical way to run any organization. But we all know that common sense nowadays is not very, very common, right? And so I've got customers who say, hey, I love your organization. I could feel something in the air, there's something electrifying. I could feel that, you're all working so well as a team, you love each other. And they started to introduce business to us. And our business started to turn around. And I've got people who left my organization because they thought we were going to die, we were going to go belly up. And they came back to join us from north, south, east, and west. And they brought people from my competitors' office back to join us. And we were literally bursting through our seam. So according to Singapore 1000 SME 500 study, we were one of the fastest growing companies in Singapore.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
and at one stage, you won't believe it, we were ranked number 7th in the whole of Singapore. In our industry, we were ranked number 1. And remember this, we're not a multinational company, we are not a government company, we are not a high-tech company, we're just an ordinary company who just learn how to love our people. And because we love our people love our customers, they love our contractors, our suppliers, they love the people around them. We create the whole ecosystem, to love people and give them the best we can give. And by 2010, we became the fastest growing company according to returns on equity based on the same survey. And by 2011, we became the first public listed company of its kind, not only in our part of the world, but all over the world. Within 3 years, we managed to clear all our debt. And then another 4 more years, we became a public listed company.
In 7 years?
No. 3 years to clear,
clear debts.
We were minus 0, right?
Minus 20 million.
Yeah. We didn't start off as a company like most people who register a company. We were like down by millions of dollars. Within 3 years, we were on even keel. And then another 4 more years, we became a public listed company. Now, I like to believe that this is an all-time record, but there's no measurement, there's no survey, no assessment done, basically. But I do not know if anybody in less than 5 years, and starting, with a minus in the books, and then became a public listed company.
Yeah.
And out of this very, very distressful situation, I learned 4 very powerful lessons which I'd like to share with everybody.
Sure. Let's pan the screen back to the slide. I think there are a few things I wanted to share with us, right?
That's right. So I want you to imagine all of you are looking at your iPhone, you're looking at your computer. So I'm going to use the metaphor of an iPhone being a computer, or you're in front of a computer screen, using the metaphor of a computer. Every computer has a heart. We call it a central processing unit. And when you run a business, you should also run a business with a heart. So if you see my company's logo on the right-hand side of the slide, GEX, if you look at the E, guess what the E means?
It looks like...
All you have to do is turn your head like...
Sin.
Okay, it is heart. It is the heart. So when we brought all our people together, we asked our people in Bangkok when we were doing a retreat, we say, what company do you like to work in? What would you be proud and happy to work in? And they say, we want to work in a company with a heart. You know, there's a verse in a good book that says, where your heart is, there will your treasure be. And the treasures of your heart will shape and influence the destination and the journey of your life journey. You know, and the challenges of a heart is the heart. The challenges, the heart of any challenge is always a challenge of the heart, basically. So the question I want to ask everybody is this. You are in this webinar because you want to start your own business. But why do you want to run a business? Why do you want to do what you do? Because if you don't know the why, you never find out the how. It is the purpose that will always shape your performance and your pursuits. You know, it is your purpose that will finally determine what you do in your life and what you achieve in your life, basically. So if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, even before you start a business, ask yourself, are you doing it purely for the money, purely for self-glory? Or do you have something that, you know, that's even, you know, operating at a much higher level? You are responding to higher calling, you're serving a worthier cause. The second lesson that we learn is called hardware. Every computer has the hardware. What's the hardware? The hardware, you know, of any organization is the system. It's the model, the structure, the system, the processes and procedure. And I always tell people this, don't tell me you love me if the way you run your organization is really very bad. To me, the best way to love my people is to run the best organization. The way to love your family is to run a family that functions well, that operates well, basically. You know? So, the question I want to ask you is this, and people out there, how do you do what you do? Because if you want to love your people, run the best organization. The best organization is measured by results. Results is the ultimate measurement of life. Results finally determine and define your life and your successes. Let me give you some example of what we do. You know, we tell ourselves we'll benchmark our company to any international standard. So we were the first company to achieve ISO 9000 and PEC standard. Then we also submitted ourselves for many competitions, not because we want any vain glory, but we want to learn from our competitors, learn from other counterparts in other industry, from the judges. I'm talking about credible awards, not one of those that you buy to get the awards. And in the process of going through that, we failed many times, but we learned from the judges. We were open to their criticism. We learned from the people we compete with. We learned from the people who won, who beat us. But eventually, we learned to improve the system. And then we knew what it means to be at the cutting edge, what it means to achieve best practice. The third lesson that we learned is called software. What is a software? At the heart of every organization is people. It is the people in your organization that make your organization work. It is the people in your business that make your business work. It is the people in the government that make the government work. So the question I always ask people is this: do you love people, use things, or do you love things, use people? Let me repeat again. Do you love people, use things, or do you love things, use people? I think mostly we get our value system wrong. Because finally, all great organization depends on great leaders and great teamwork. It is about you enrolling not the best people, but the right people to do the right job and who can work well as a team, basically. It is ultimately the people that makes the difference in anything and everything you do. And if you want to run a successful business, even before you start a business, while you're managing a business and growing a business, take care of the people. I always say this: if you don't have a heart to love and serve your people, you don't qualify to be a leader. You don't deserve to be a leader. Let me repeat again. If you don't have a heart to love your people and serve your people, you don't qualify, you don't deserve to be a leader. And when you learn how to take care of your people will learn to take care of the customer. If you love your people will love the market, and your business will flourish. And the last lesson I learned is called soulware. I believe every human has a soul. There's a soul in every organization. Okay? What is the soul of your life? Most people who are entrepreneurs pursue what I call the 7 P's in life. There's pursue profits, position, power, possession, pleasure, prestige, privilege. But I want to tell you this, along the journey, one day you realize all these give you fleeting happiness. I don't know if anybody on the dying bed, they tell themselves, oh, I wish I got a bigger bank account, a bigger car, a bigger house, a bigger wife. I don't think so.
A bigger husband for me.
A bigger husband. So I forgot, yeah. By the end of our life, we ask ourselves, have we made a positive difference on the people and the environment around us? So in the computer world, there's a jargon called GIGO.
Yeah.
You put garbage in, you get garbage out. You put good stuff in, you get good stuff out. So how do you run your organization? How do you run your business? If your business has a soul, you put in the good stuff, and then good stuff will come out of it. And then your business will become a force for good. And when you become a force for good, people will want to be your friend. People want to patronize your business. People will want to support your business to grow. And then you realize, because your heart and your soul in the right place, you'll be able to develop a stable, secure, and sustainable organization to achieve success. So I hope these 4 lessons, will inspire all of you out there, will give you the insight to think over how you want to live your life, how do you run your team, how do you want to grow your organization. Let me just quickly close, by sharing with you a few things I think all of us would like to know. How can you and I make a positive difference? Every person can make a positive difference. Every person matters. Every part counts. So in my organization, we make everybody sign a pledge card. As long as I do everything I can to value add to you, to have you, give you a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, they will sign a pledge card to say they will donate part of their thoughts, their time, their talent, including money and treasure, to help the poor, the needy, and the disadvantaged. So as long as you can value add to one more person, and the person can add value add to one more person, I believe we can start a ripple. And it is a small little wave that always, create a tsunami. And we want to create a tsunami of love, basically. So if all of us touch one person at a time, one day at a time, one experience at a time, I believe we can create what scientists call the butterfly effect. When there's a tornado, it started because there's a flutter of a butterfly, and it evolved to become a tornado of love, blazing the world, making the world, turning the world right up. How can I make a greater impact? Start small. I call this the 6C, unlike the 5 Cs we have in Singapore. Start loving your colleagues.
Yeah.
Start loving, together with your colleagues, loving your customers. Let's see what can you do for the community. What can you do for country? What can you do, for many, many countries?
Yeah. And I think the last 2 C's right here that's being blocked off, catalysts and crises in other countries.
That's right.
Yeah,
We have many, many crises. Every time when there's a crisis, my team and I will think of doing something for them. Last year, we have a little project. We try to encourage the families of frontliners. We think of the nurses and doctors who are doing wonderful job, but at the end of the day, it is a family behind them that supported them. So we came up with a project like this. This year, we have a project to try and help a village in Yunnan that depends on selling tea, to survive as a village. But because of the breakdown of all the logistical system, they were struggling. So my partner went there and taught them how to package it, for the modern world. And then we are selling this tea leaf dollar to dollar. And by doing this, we are providing livelihood, helping the village to survive. And then we are looking seriously at working with an agency to help the people in Myanmar. While we are all grumbling about challenges, there are people who are going through more challenging situations. And then finally, at the highest level, every one of us can be a catalyst. We can go and catalyze one more person, one more team, one more group, one more organization, one more company to go out there and do good. And I believe this. If all of us do that, we can eradicate poverty.
Yep.
We can bring back world peace. We can stop this destruction of planet Earth. There are some say that within 50 years, if we don't make any more changes, the planet might just disintegrate because of the way we have destroyed a planet, basically. And it has nothing to do with getting the government to do it, organizations to do it, businesses to do it, but it is in the hand of each and every one of us to do our part, to tell our company to do their part, to tell society to come together to work on protecting planet Earth, to patronize companies that are contributing to the green movement. And so if we all do this, I believe we can change the world. We cannot depend, we need the fourth key. We cannot just depend on the government because the governments are tight, hands are tight for many reasons. We cannot depend on educational institutions because they're primarily focused on knowledge and research. We cannot depend on charity because they've been around for hundreds of years or thousands of years. Finally, the fourth key is in the hands of you and me.
Yeah.
And if all of us put in the fourth key, I believe we have a chance to make this world a better place.
Definitely. Wow, that is indeed very touching, actually. This last quote that you have here, the more you and I reach out to bless other lives, the richer and better our lives will become.
That's right. This is after the crisis, I coined this value statement, and I hope all of you will bear that in mind. You want to start a business, you want to run a business, you want to grow a business to be profitable so that you will be able to achieve greater good. Remember this statement. The more you and I reach out to bless other lives, whether it is the lives of our colleagues, whether it's the lives of our customers, whether it's the lives of all the other stakeholders, and even our community, and even the country and many other countries, if we go out there and value add to them, and be a plus factor to them, and be a blessing to them, at the end of the day, the more we brighten somebody's life, the brighter our life will become. So the more you and I reach out to bless other lives, the richer and better our lives will become.
All right, so we will come to almost the end of it. And right here, I do have a question from Dave. He mentioned that, Dr. Patrick, not everyone is suitable and can be an entrepreneur. What advice will you give to everyone and the common man on the street?
Okay, that's a very, very good question. So let's start with the definition of entrepreneur. So if you have been hearing us early on, we said that an entrepreneur is not necessarily somebody who start an organization or start a business, run a business, and grow a business. To me, an entrepreneur is predominantly a problem solver and a solution provider. So if you look at this broader sense of the word of entrepreneurship, then you are an entrepreneur. All of us are entrepreneurs because there is a problem out there that's waiting to be solved. There's a problem waiting for you to solve it. Whether you're an entrepreneur solving your family problem, your company's problem, the grassroots problem, the community problem, or the country problem. And how do you start? Number one, I call this the LEAP model, LEAP model. First, learn. Secondly, learn how to evaluate. How to evaluate what's going out there. Third, how to take action and take action effectively and efficiently. And P for progress. If you and I start small, we may not have the best tool to solve the problem. We may not be able to come up with the best solution. But we always have this mindset that we want to constantly improve. I think one day you'll become a better and better entrepreneur.
Wow, I really learned a lot, and this leap is really something amazing, amazing for me. Thank you so much, Dr. Patrick, for being here today. Okay, I hope that all our friends right at the screen itself do learn about something as well. And we come to almost the last program for June itself, right, where next Tuesday itself, do join us once again because we have a guest from Hong Leong Bank. He's actually the chief researcher and of course the economist as well, to do a close-up of the first quarter of 2021, at the same time doing a projection for next month itself, which is the last, so-called the next half of the year for 2021 itself. Okay, Dr. Patrick, once again, thank you so much. God bless to you, and I hope that right here for this year, Singapore can march towards a good year and of course a good nation as well.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share with all of you. I hope you have learned something. I have learned something. I think together, if we continue to learn, continue to improve, we will definitely be able to achieve our desired destination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and take care everybody. Stay safe and goodbye.